Michael Olise, is he set to miss a part of the season already? We'll be discussing that today. And Joachim Andersen is wanted by Premier League rivals, but how much should they actually value him? And also, of course, an update on Wilfried Zaha. We can't go by a day without talking about Wilf. So let's get started with the latest Palace news. What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. Hopefully, you've all had a great day. As the day comes to an end, it's time to wrap up all the latest that's been going on with Palace. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to smash the like button and also subscribe to nominate some future Palace content. And join us in the live comment section if you're watching us live. And if you're watching a replay, make sure to leave down your comments in the comment section down below. We won't be going for too long today because, one, there isn't that many, but even though there is some decent information out there with the minimal bit of news that's come out today. So we'll be covering that. And if you have any other questions, if we've got a bit of time, then we'll be answering those as well. So send them through throughout the show and get involved as always. AJ, how you doing, bro? Come Wednesday, we're through the week now. Had good or bad news with Palace, but how you been?
Yeah, I'm alive, man. I'm alive. I mean, the Palace news is drying up a little bit. You know, it'd be nice to see a little bit of activity now that we know who's going to be in charge of the club. But officially, the club haven't announced that yet. But, you know, that's a different topic for a different day. Yeah, man, for me, it's just business as usual until further notice.
Yeah, man. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. As we're approaching July, preseason is meant to start at the end of this week, by the way. And we're going to start off with a negative, unfortunately, and that's going to be on Michael Olise. As you guys who have been watching Palace News regularly, we updated you guys yesterday, I believe it was, that Michael Olise did pick up an injury over in France's international break. And unfortunately, it's bad news. It's one of the worst news that you can get. Apparently, according to the reports, he's had a grade 3 hamstring injury, which is one of the worst that you can have. And according to those reports, following on from that, Crystal Palace's preparation for next season have taken a hit, with Michael Olise picking up a serious injury on international duty. The plans for the new season appear to have been dealt as a blow, as Olise looks set to miss the opening games. Unfortunately, Olise is set to be out for those opening set of games. AJ, that is a massive blow because he might not score a lot of goals, but last season his assist came in handy, and you want to start the season off strong. Olise out injured. We don't know how long for, but it looks like he's going to miss a few games. What's your just thoughts on that? It is gutting, isn't it?
It's heartbreaking, man. You know, right about now, the way things are feeling, man, when it rains, it pours. You know, it may be that, you know, it's not ideal. He's one of our key players. You know, he looked like he had an amazing start to the under-21 championships. Few silver linings in. Looks like he's got a great support, and he's managed to integrate himself into that squad really well, because they've obviously come out and showed support for him tonight as well. It was really lovely to see them hold up the shirt for him, and he seems like he's really liked and really loved there. So I don't want to put in a situation where he's going to be ruled out. I mean, if he plays his cards right and keeps things in a good position, you never know. Senior France caps may be in the horizon or on the horizon. There might even be an opportunity for one of the younger players to step up, especially in the preseason setup of things. Because obviously you've got the Raksaki equation and you've got the Iwobi situation there. So there might be a chance for one of them to step up and showcase what they got. Iwobi. You know what I mean? Malcolm.
A bit way. Yeah, Malcolm.
What did I
say? Sorry, you said Iwobi. I thought, like, what? When did we sign Iwobi?
No. It's late.
Yeah,
but
I don't blame you.
In all fairness, yeah, there's a chance for one of the young guys to kind of step up and maybe kind of make their name, or even maybe Scott Banks. You know, when we went to that under-19s championship final, man, I saw some bits with that left foot. So you never know. I mean, it might be a chance for one of these guys to step up. I'm not going to bank on Mr. Parrish dipping his hands in the transfer market and doing anything crazy. You know, we've had a few little silly links with Dan Juma and Gray, but I don't know, man. It's heart-wrenching, man. It's not what I want to be seeing on especially with the way things are. It's just terrible timing. Terrible timing for him. He's on an upward trajectory right now.
Yeah, it is terrible timing, but we have said it throughout last season as well. If you count as this season, I don't know how you lot season work, but for me, it's now last season when the last game is done. When you look at last season, we did talk about the right hand side. There are options there, so we do have depth in that position. Whereas the left hand side is literally Wilf and then maybe IU or Schlupp, but there isn't an outright left winger. So for you, we have mentioned a few names so far. Who do you think is going to take the spot for Olise come start of the season? Now, the nice scenario would be to see the likes of Raksaki maybe get an opportunity. But realistically, I just don't see that happening. And the reason for that is Roy. I can see it being Jordan Ayew starting down the right-hand side. And even if Zaha doesn't stay, then it will be like Zaha down the left-hand side or, Jeffrey Schlupp if it's not Wilf. I just don't see Raksaki starting. But for you, how do you see us going into these next few games? Or start the season anyways, if we were to miss Olise?
Based on Hodgson history, he's blatantly going to play Schlupp or Ayew there. There's no way around it unless we do something in the market. Whether that happens or not, that's a different conversation. But knowing Roy the way that I have seen how he responds to this, and obviously given that extra option in the centre midfield area with Lerma, I'm convinced he's going to just turn around and just put Ayew there. He'll just make it easy. And it's a player that he can... Even we can rely on, to be fair. Like, let's not sit here and pretend that Ayew's been terrible. All right, granted, he doesn't bang a ton of goals, but he still works hard and he still does his job. And I was very impressed with what Ayew was putting out, more specifically towards the end of last season. So I reckon it'll probably be Ayew if he decides to move Will from a more centralised or right-hand side position of the pitch. Then I think it'll be Schlupp. I don't envision anything out the normal for that.
Do you still think this impacts Jez Raksaki's maybe approach to what we was going to do with him this summer? Maybe send him out on loan. Do you think now that Olise is out injured and we look at depth options? Yes, Jordan Ayew is there, but apart from Jordan Ayew, maybe a Bilwe, but I reckon Raksaki's probably higher in the ranking than a Bilwe. That's my guess. I don't know. Do you think Raksaki's potentially going out on loan? We might have to rethink it now that Olise might be missing a few games.
If they send out Malcolm, I don't think Raksaki goes, just for the sake of numbers. And I don't even mean that all of a sudden Raksaki is going to be starting Premier League games. I think it'll be more along the lines of he'll probably get the bench appearances. There's even a debate that maybe Hamada could go into that, go into the selection process, because we know he's very creative and very skillful. I know by trade he's not particularly a winger, but he's pretty capable in terms of what I've seen in the substitute appearances that we kind of got out of him last season. So I don't know. I don't know if you remember, but what I said about Raksaki is I felt like he needed a championship loan anyway in terms of his development. But in these extreme circumstances, you just never know. We do know that Roy's not particularly round for playing youth players week in, week out. He gives the odd opportunity when the circumstances align. So if you look at the youth players he's given those opportunities to, they've always either been the result of having an injury crisis or maybe not having certain players available at that given time. So you never know. He might be forced into it might force his hand, and he might have to just turn around and do it anyway.
The
right decision.
Do you still send him out on loan?
I wouldn't. I'd rather send Malcolm out on loan and keep Raksaki around the squad if that was my decision. And I can't ignore Scott Banks either. I would put him into the fold as well, because I think he's shown more than enough that he's more than capable of doing some very dangerous things with that left foot. So those are the two I'd favour, and then Malcolm would be the one I'd send out on loan. It's very hard to tell because we don't know what the plan is and more potentially what's the target. Because especially around cup games, especially if we are going to potentially give ourselves a bit of a League Cup run and an FA Cup run, you still need a big squad to do that. So when we are playing lower league opposition, those would have been the games I would expect Roy to kind of experiment and throw a couple of those youngsters in there. That's my preference.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards that as well. I think Raksaki still probably goes. I think Raksaki still probably should go out on loan. because when Elise's back, then it's going to be Elise and maybe Jordan Ayew. It depends how you view the situation. For me, the best, I mentioned it yesterday, I think it was with Patrick, the left-hand side, if we keep Will, should be Zaha and Jordan Ayew potentially as backup option, because Jordan Ayew down the left cutting in with his right foot looks a lot more dangerous than sometimes he does down the right-hand side. And the right-hand side should be Elise and the backup should be Raksaki. I think that would be the most ideal situation. But with Roy, I'm not too sure if he'll go with that approach. But let us know what you guys think. What should happen as a replacement for Elise? And also, does this change things for Raksaki? There's a few comments that's coming in suggesting that we should be getting Lucas Moura. I personally don't go with that flow because I don't think he'll be cheap, as some people are saying out to be. He's earning very good money at Tottenham. And I don't think we need Lucas Moura unless Elise was set to miss the whole season, then yeah, we need to look strongly. But
Moura is going to end up in Saudi, or he'll end up in Saudi or go back to Brazil. Yeah. He's not going to do anything for our team. No way.
Yeah, exactly. Ronald says it's time to see what Rat can do. CD says, was it Roy who started Mitchell when we had no other option? Might happen with Raksaki. Yeah, I mean, potentially, but
same with Wan-Bissaka. Like, it's circumstantial. It's all circumstantial.
But we have got options. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think we have got options. As I said, Jeffrey Schlupp is still here. Even if Zaha's not here, it'll be Jordan Ayew down the right, Jeffrey Schlupp down the left. Like, there is options there where you don't have to start Raksaki to get it. It's not like worst case scenario. Even though we would like to see Raksaki, I just think realistically that's not going to happen. But I'll be surprised. Maybe it does happen. If Elise is out and we don't buy a winger, that is genuinely criminal. We're going to spend half the season with Ayew Schlupp. Welcome back, Roy. I don't think it's going to be half of the season. The reports are suggesting maybe the start of the season, maybe it might be 5 or 10 games, or maybe even less than that. So it's not going to be like 15, 20 games or so. But yeah, look, we'll see. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Maybe he's back by the start of the season. Who knows? Because we're still 28th of June and it depends on recovery time. We've seen it with Wilf in the past, where he always recovers magically quicker than a normal human being should be recovering. Maybe Elise is on the same wavelength. I guess time will tell. I'd rather see Rak than Ibiwe. Good evening, Dee and AJ. With Elise out, it'll be a good time to give some others a shine. Agree, Richard. And I think we will, but I think it'll be more of a familiar name in terms of Jordan Ayew or Jeffrey Schlupp rather than the Raksakis, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you view things. But let's move on to the next bit of topic, and that is on Joachim Andersen. Joachim Andersen, we've been linked with a few defenders, so it was about time that something came out why we're linked with some of these defenders, and this might be one of the reasons. According to the Athletic, they reported it earlier on today that Brentford have reportedly inquired about signing Crystal Palace defender Joachim Andersen. The Athletic reported that Thomas Frank's side have asked about the Danish centre-back, who they value at £20 million. Are they taking the piss, AJ? Or am I wrong in thinking that?
I don't know. Apart from everyone's favourite toxic Twitter, I don't know how a football club can be turning around. I've had this debate and discussion so many times. I don't understand how Brentford could walk up to us, inquire about one of our star players, and then turn around to us and say, he's worth this much to us. Well, excuse my French, fuck off. Like, what are you doing, bro? Once again, you can't knock on my door and tell me you want to buy my house. I tell you the house is worth 500 grand, and then you turn around and go, well, here's 200. I will tell you to go jog on. And that's the same thing with us. I like the fact that the club has stand firm and said, look, you can buy these players, but it's going to cost you X amount of money. Let's not take a piss here, bro. Anderson's a baller out here, man. He's a proper centre-back. And if you want to come and dismantle our team, then you're going to have to pay the premium for it. And that's all I've got to say on it. What's the
premium for you? How much do you think Joachim Andersen is worth in today's market?
How much is Joachim Andersen worth? 28? What is he? He might even be younger than that. What was he? 28, 27?
I'll just find out, but he's younger than that. He's younger than that. He is I think he's more on the 25, I was thinking. I know, 27, yeah, you're right. 27.
£40 million. I want £40 million. And I don't want no Arsenal installments. I don't want that Arsenal installment gang. I want £40 million cash.
Yeah. I was thinking at least £30 million. Then we can start talking and negotiating. But I mean, it's ridiculous. Why would we sell him for £20 million when we bought him for £17 million? Wow, £3 million profit and losing a quality player. Like, there's no need for that. So I
Yeah,
don't think that's
let's not
ever
take a piss here, lads.
and they like
And
using a
Brentford,
super yeah.
like let's
Yeah.
just deep it for a second. It's Brentford. Like if it was like a Chelsea, a Liverpool, or whatever, then I might turn and say, all right, maybe I can see where they're trying to bully right us a little bit. But Brentford, who's this little man? Like, let's just calm down a little bit here, boys. Like your little man Brentford, like you man tried to buy David Beckham's you and put him in your B team for publicity, and it still didn't work. Let's not all start getting cute here because you had a half decent season last year, and that's no disrespect to their fans. I'm just making their club know, like you're Brentford. Like, worry about use that £20 million and go buy a striker to replace that brother, that star player that was betting against your own team. Like, let's not take liberties here, bro. Come on, man.
But look,
20 million. Come on, bro.
Look, I think with Joachim Andersen, I don't think he's ever leaving for £20 million, and he looks happy at Palace as well. So I don't think he's going to leave for Palace for Brentford. Even though Brentford they look great, but one thing that I'll say, Brentford they love using the supercomputer data analysis and all of that. And if that data analysis and supercomputer values Joachim Andersen at £20 million, then it might be worth switching on and off because I don't think it's functioning properly.
That needs a Windows update, rude boy.
Yeah, it needs an update. If that computer is saying Joachim Andersen is worth £20 million, I don't think it's working to the extent that it should be working. But look, they do have good scouts and good scouting system, but clearly not for Palace players. I don't think they've reached that stage yet. Crane says one finish higher than us, and they're trying to bully us for our players. Mitch says, well, more to that point, they're direct rival at the minute. Exactly, they are our Premier League rivals, and there's no way we sell them any player unless they pay a premium, and that's how it should be. Luke saying, acting like the striker ain't going to be out for next season, put together 2 million accumulators, get out of here. Oli says, let's bid £20 million pound for Brian and Burma. Get that.
I'd have him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they're not. I think the point is that they're not going to sell him for £20 million. Like, it just sounds ridiculous. You get it's
just insulting, bro. Like it's just insulting.
Like, it's coming from a reliable source. It's coming from the Athletic. Like, so they clearly value him around 20 minutes. That's crazy. Like, it's not like any of these other sites. It's the Athletic, and one of the most reliable sites.
I don't think he's going anywhere anyway. I'm not buying. I don't think he's going anywhere, especially with the numbers they're quoting.
Exactly, because numbers they're quoting and how much we would want, I just don't see them paying it. Let's move on to the final bit of news today, and that is on, of course, Wilfried Zaha. There can't be a Palace News live stream without talking about Wilf. He always appears somewhere. So the latest with him, according to Turkish Football, is that Fenerbahce have reportedly offered a 3-year deal for Wilf and a wage packet including commissions worth over 15 million euros. One thing that I will say is I call BS. As someone who's Turkish, as someone who knows the Turkish league, you're telling me we're offering 4 million euros a year and a team from the Turkish league is offering 15 million euros. I can't even keep a straight face saying that. That just sounds fishy. Like, that just doesn't sound right. I mean, they might want to bankrupt the team or not. I don't know what their approach is, but I don't think they can afford that much for Wilf. That's how I'll say it. But AJ, about Wilf, 28th of June, I think he's out of contract on Saturday.
Friday or Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, Friday or Saturday. So how long do you reckon we're going to be waiting until we find out? It has to happen sooner rather than later because we have to decide on whether we need to buy a new left winger or not, and whether we can spend our money elsewhere. So when do you realistically see this Wilf saga ending?
I'm not sure. I've kind of just emotionally detached myself from that situation because
it's a bit boring, isn't
Wilf, it does. It just gets very, very repetitive. We had to part with that when he was under contract, and every summer it was Wilf this, Wilf that, Wilf the other. This time around, it feels a little bit different. Obviously, he's putting his roots down. Obviously, respect to him and his recent purchase with Stormzy and Danny, who is very loved at Crystal Palace as well, to obviously invest in the AFC Croydon setup. But the man's on his honeymoon. He's living his best life in Ibiza. Like, I don't.
But I think his agents are working. When people say that, his agents are working behind the scenes. So I don't.
Yeah. But he's probably not even. He's probably not picked up to the phone to them yet and turned around and said whatever. I don't know. I think if he is going to leave, he's only going to go to a smart project. So the PSG makes sense to me. The Atletico makes sense to me. Even the AC Milan or
Atletico's
Inter
not
Milan
even in
makes
the.
sense to me.
They're not in the Inter Milan. They're not in the books. Based on the latest reports, Atletico's not in the
No, yeah,
books.
their finances are a little bit crazy.
The latest is Fenerbahce, Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, Marseille, Lazio, and PSG. So realistically, I said it to Patrick yesterday. Realistically, there could be a scenario where Wilf ends up staying because other wooden teams, Lazio, Marseille, maybe Saudi Arabia, if you want to really go for the money, maybe they're a threat. But I think PSG is a real threat. Like I don't, would you respect? I don't think. Maybe he goes to Marseille, Lazio, but I just don't see them paying the wages that Wilf.
Yeah, it's. I don't even think he's gonna leave. I mean, PSG are in a little bit of a mess. If you actually deep what's going on at PSG, they're in a little bit of a mess. Does he really want to be getting involved in that? I don't know. He'll be in Europe though. That's fair. Like, and he was guaranteed to probably win the league every year. So
would he play though?
You know,
I said this with Patrick yesterday. Is there any guarantees at PSG that you'll play?
If they manage to unload, because remember, Messi's already gone, right? Then they've lost. They're trying to offload Neymar, and then it looks like Mbappe might potentially be gone out the window anyway. There's no way they're going to sign Wilf to play in the future because, in all fairness, they're only going to get a good 3-4 years out of him max. And even with that being said, the rest of that squad, the drop in quality after those top 3 megastars is a massive drop in quality. So he's not going to go there and win the Champions League. At best, he's going there to just win the French League and maybe win a couple of French Cups. Marseille, same sort of thing. They're still in the process of rebuilding. I don't think he's going to the Turkish League. And I am very adamant he's probably not going to go Saudi Arabia. He needs to sort of start thinking about the big payday, the family layout, and the setup of things. And, you know, I'm not particularly convinced he's out the door just yet.
Yeah. And look, we talk about payday, we talk about family, but also game time. Like, unless he's lost, he hasn't lost his love for the game. Because if he lost his love for the game, he could have easily went Saudi, easily. So he needs to consider game time. And I think that's hard. I just don't see PSG giving him assurances of game time. I just don't see that happening, unfortunately. And a worst case scenario for him is technically he's at a Champions League club, but he's on a bench. Like, that would be the worst case scenario. He's not playing. And
remember, Mbappe runs that club, If he don't square the ball to Mbappe when he wants to, imagine typical Wilf cuts inside against bloody FC Troyes or one of them ones, and he don't line that ball to Mbappe when he's through on goal. Big man, he's going to be washing the toilets the next day. Like, I don't know if Wilf can but go into such an environment, bro. I don't know. It's very toxic there.
But it is very toxic. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not writing Palace off. I'm still not writing Palace off.
Nah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
Well, you're not convinced that he'll stay?
I'm not convinced he'll leave. I'm not, I've resided to it. So in my mind, I'm talking like I'm Doogie or something like that. But in my mind, I'm kind of just looking at it like, okay, what does this team look like without Wilf? That's how I look at it. If he stays, it's a bonus because obviously we're straight away a bigger threat with him. But we've got other threats in the team and we've got other players that we can build around now. So whatever he decides to do, I love the guy regardless.
Yeah, and what Adam says here is true, and that's what I was saying as well. If he wanted money, he would have gone to Saudi. If he wanted trophies, he would have already accepted PSG. He has accepted neither so far, and them PSG offers there is, it's already been there. So I think he's seriously thinking it, and there's clearly some reservations about some of the offers out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Palace. But I know some people are saying that he's already gone. Some people are saying that, and I understand it to a certain extent. But if you're enjoying the stream so far, make sure to hit the like button, people. We're going to wrap it up relatively soon. If you have any questions, send them through. Surely the contract would be sorted by now if he was staying. I think he's just looking at his options. There's no need for him to sign a Palace contract right now. The Palace contract offer is clear, whereas the other offers, they can change. Another team might come last minute. So I think he just waited to see what offers come. It
wouldn't surprise me if his agent's just offering him everywhere, because that was the guy that tried to get him out to Arsenal the last time around. So
well, there's even reports that Saudi Arabia is going to up the offer, for example. So there's no need for him to sign a new contract at Palace. If you never know, something else might pop up in the last minute, which hasn't so far, not anything serious. It's pretty clear his potential destinations now. So yeah, I think he doesn't have to rush the decision, and he's not doing it. And I don't blame him for that, because it's worth testing out the waters at least. Why at least not resting in the off season? You can say that about a lot of players. I mean, international football's happening. I don't think it's about Olise. It's about international football and how it's set up. Because I mean, only last week or the week after, a week before was the first team international football. There's the under-21s going on right now. So
there's an
international football,
under-21s championship. You would not turn that down,
exactly.
bro. And if you were in that position, I wouldn't turn it down either. So, and it's France. It's France under-21s. Look at the players he's playing with. Like,
and over in France, so what I was listening to, I think it was a podcast. They take the under-21s very seriously. It's a case of you have to try to be the best at under-21s and win something at under-21s. Then you know what winning feelings like. Then you can get promoted to the first team, etc. Like, they don't take it lightly.
Yeah, politics. Even politics mixes with that. They'll have Macron in there talking to these kids and all the rest of it as well. So don't get twisted, man. I got family in that part of the world, and I'll tell you what, they will tell you, bro. Freaking Macron will bop in that change room come semi-finals, finals, and give them the speech and let them know, listen, the whole economy's relying on you, man. So there's no way Olise's turning that down. And it's a progression thing, because if you're not turning up to under-21 championships at France level, there ain't no way you're looking at that first team. They're not even. Deschamps will badge you. You'll badge you up and dismiss you. Look what they did to Benzema.
It's not even about France. It'll be the same for England. Like, if you're not turning up when we need you, then don't come. Like, simple.
Yes, facts. Yeah. Big facts.
So yeah. Mitch says, yeah, France does international player development right. Probably best nation for it. Exactly, yeah. So I'm not going to blame him for playing international football. I mean, who wouldn't want to play for international football championships? It is what it is. But look, that's it for me and AJ today. We're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately, because we haven't got that much time. But if you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you just joined us now, as we end it, go to the start of the stream where we talk about Olise, we talk about Joachim Andersen, potential bid from Premier League rivals, and also we have an update on Wilfried Zaha. Thank you to every single one of you that's been tuning in. And that's it from me and AJ. And until next time, up the Palace.